show. Yeah, yeah. Steve and Colin. Hell yeah. Doing a good show. That's right. Steve and Colin. Right on. Gonna do a good show. Hell yes. Steve and Colin. You just never know. No, you don't.
Oh, get rid of that.
Hey,
We're back. We're here. We're here.
We're here. We're live. Ain't no jive. We got it going on.
Yeah. Speaking of going on, I'm wondering if I should turn on this light. Does that add anything?
It subtracts 5.
Oh, okay, that's good. That's exactly what I want. I wanted a little -5.
You're at 105.
Oh, okay.
Cool 100.
Yeah, welcome everyone to the very first, it's the very second Stephen Colin Very Good Show episode, but the first to go live.
Yeah, and there's only 1 second show. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's how numbers work. This is our hidden gems. We're going to polish. We're going to dig some out of the dirt, polish them up, show you what you might like. And I have to say that off the top that this is a show that I could have used last week because I had finished a show that I was watching. Shout out to Apple TV. Now I can't remember the name of it. But anyway, I got to the end of that, and then I was like, oh, For All Mankind, it was called. It's about the space race. And like, what am I going to watch next? And there's so much content on there. I did that thing that we've all done. We go to Netflix or we go to Hulu or Amazon and we do browsing or what's trending or whatever. We start looking through stuff and you start to watch something and you don't like it or whatever. And it reminded me of the old days when we used to go to video stores. Remember that? 100 years ago? And
yeah, I sort of remember that, yeah.
Yeah, you'd walk around. You'd pick up a video and you'd look at it and you go, you read a little blurb on the back and maybe like that. You'd do another lap around the store and look at the pics of the people that work there. But what's funny is that I was thinking in my search on Hulu, I came across the show Fargo, the TV show, which I've been kind of thinking maybe I'll rewatch that because it was so good. All the seasons, but especially the first one. So I started watching it. I watched a couple episodes, and then the next day I made a list. So this wouldn't happen to me again of just Google search what's the best thing to watch on Amazon or Netflix and Hulu. They came up with like 100 different things. And I kind of scrolled through. A lot of them I'd seen, a lot of them I wasn't interested. And then I made a list. And because I'm a nerd, it looks like that. And so now this is like my TV guide that I have, and I can go through. And so night number 1, I look at on my list and I see this show. It's called Requiem. It's a British show. I start watching it. I really don't like it. It's one of those shows where like a supernatural kind of thing, and that's not my bag. Like some demon takes over a body and it makes you commit suicide, which is not my thing. So I stopped watching it, and then I went back to Fargo, and I watched all 10 episodes of Fargo.
Well, that's a good story, and I guess that Fargo is not on your list for gem. Now, well, here's the thing: is what defines a gem or a hidden gem for you?
Yeah, it's a good question. I just think it didn't get. I mean, I would not put Fargo on. I wouldn't put Fargo in the category because I feel like even though it wasn't, I don't think mainstream, it certainly got a lot of critical praise. And because it's based on a movie that a lot of people know about, I don't think it's quite hidden enough.
Quite underground enough. Yeah, exactly. Enough people have seen it. Yeah, that was a tricky thing for my list. Like I think we were talking. Like I wanted to put Freaks and Geeks on my list, and I know it had no ratings when it was originally released in whenever it came out, 89. I don't even know. No, it was after college, so 93, something like that. But they only gave it because it was on a Saturday night, and the NBC just said, no one's watching this, forget it. But it had such a post-airing life, and everyone knows it, so it feels like it's not really a hidden gem.
I think it's one of those shows that everyone knows about, but I wonder how many people have actually watched it,
Yeah. if you've watched it, let us know in the comments.
Yeah. So it's a good one to shout out for people that either weren't around at that time, not watching TV back when it had its first thing. And that's the cool thing about, of course, about streaming, is that all these shows can have a second life. And that's certainly been the case of, I'll throw an example out there. A show that I totally loved on NBC, I think it was on maybe 5 or 6 years ago, was Hannibal. It was just super creepy and weird, and Hugh Dancy was on it, just so amazing. And I feel like nobody watched it, but it was on for 2 seasons, and now Netflix bought it, and you can watch it there. So,
yeah, that was I do cheat, and I look online to see what everything's online, so you can just type in hidden gem TV shows, and you'll get people's lists. And so if you feel a little blank, it can kind of trigger a memory of a show that that one, that definitely is one.
Right.
What is my point? I was distracted because I was checking to see if this was actually streaming, and it is. I just checked it. It's on. So all right, people, where are you? I don't see. No, I see one thumbs up. Oh, Karen is giving it a thumbs up. Thanks, Karen. She doesn't count.
Well, she's what, like 20 feet away?
She's more than that. So anyway, so should we get into our list?
Yeah, go for it. Should we start on Amazon? You got something from Amazon?
Are any of mine from Amazon? No, none of mine. 0 Amazon shows. Although I could have. Here's. I'm gonna mention some alternative picks that were on my list, but I didn't choose for reasons that are too convoluted to go into. But what I thought about was One Mississippi, the show with Tig Notaro, which only lasted 2 seasons, but was really great, and I thought it really tackled just a lot of interesting topics, just like being a lesbian in Mississippi, in a place that's kind of fairly homophobic, and trying to, deal with her mother's recent death, and her stepfather, who is kind of closed-minded. But like all the characters had layers, and she also has a radio show too, which is always great.
Right, and it very much tracks with her. She is from Mississippi, her true life, and all that stuff. So, and the whole gender stuff. And there was actually one episode. Well, I don't want to give it away, but that deals with there's some like Me Too stuff in there, specifically a certain person who I won't mention.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it was really good. And then her and her relationship with her now wife, and that was all really cool the way that was done. And that was true too, because it was actually played by her wife. And
it wasn't the wife at the time though. It came later.
Right, at the time, but I mean, yeah. So that was actual.
Yeah.
Maybe she kind of cast her into her
life.
Now, are you putting?
So I didn't. That wasn't on my list, but I thought of it. But I talked about it as if it was on my list. So
right. Well, I'll mention this one then, because it was a really fun little show. One season. I think they are doing another season.
Are they? I heard it was just going to be 1 season.
Yeah, maybe it is. 8 episodes, 30 minutes. Fred Armisen, Maya Rudolph. Obviously, they're friends from Saturday Night Live. Really good chemistry. I don't want to really give anything away, except they're a married couple, very comfortable, maybe too comfortable, predictable kind of life. And they go on a spontaneous ski trip, and then things get a little crazy. But yeah, just really interesting, weird, offbeat, I guess, but deals with really well with the idea of, relationships, even though it might be someone that you're really in love with, but that, they all come into that pitfalls of stagnation, and how do you keep that going? How do you rekindle that? And I thought that was done really well. Definitely.
Yeah. It's a tough one, because to talk about it and not give away the basic, it's more than a premise though. You don't want to give it away, but the gimmick. It's not a gimmick. The thing, it happens like in the third episode. So the rest of it is
Right.
sort of,
I mean, yeah, there's a whole purgatory idea, but yeah, I think it's kind of cool not to give that away.
Yeah.
Because it's not about that, I feel like, as much as it is about being with this person, you know, for the rest of your life. And what does that mean? And what kind of road is that you're on?
Yep.
And they do that really well. Just really very natural, kind of playful. And you can tell that they're friends. You know, that doesn't always work. Friends in real life, that doesn't always translate to the screen. And clearly it does with them. They're very kind of naturalistic actors anyway. But, you know, I would watch those to read the phone book, frankly, because they're so cool. But, and I have, by the way, you can catch that on Hulu. Fred and Maya Read the Phone Book. It's a good show.
Nice. I'm going to start with a comedy. I thought I have a photo of it somewhere. Here it is. Angie Tribeca. And I'm kind of surprised this didn't get, maybe, I have no idea. I don't know what the ratings are on it. It was on TBS originally. And there were 3 seasons. I don't even know if it's canceled or not. Maybe there's 4 seasons. I am looking at my notes. 4 seasons. I think I've only even seen 3. I didn't even know there was a 4th season. But I remember when it first was aired, this is like during that short period where TBS was airing original shows like Search Party and a couple others that were getting a critical acclaim. And but Angie Tribeca, which was created by Steve Carell and his wife, whose name eludes me, but it's very much like an Airplane style, just gags. So it's like, imagine what Brooklyn Nine-Nine would be like if it was mixed with Airplane.
Yeah, it's like that Naked Gun kind of goofy sight gags, just nonstop gags. Yeah.
And it's so, that's why I was so impressed with it, was that something like that just gets old quick, or you just kind of go, okay, they can't maintain it for a long period of time. It's hard to keep that up. But every episode just like had more and more gags that were just hilarious, and tons of visual gags. And one of the detectives on the force was a dog, and who's like, the dog is kind of solves the cases, you know, lots of times. And to sort of like the way The Simpsons would always have a different open in their open credits, this would always have someone screaming at the end of the credits, and it would be, whether it be like someone running through the frame screaming, it would always end with someone screaming, and I always appreciated that. And of course, it stars. I have to write all this down because I'm old and I forget. Rashida Jones and Jared Burns. And pretty much that's of the top name people. I guess season 3, they got, what's his name? The Italian actor who was in the last season of the Aziz Ansari show. Well, the one who was sexually harassing.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
You know who you're talking about?
Yeah.
Anyways, I'll come back and put it on the screen. Anyways, it just really funny, and I think it's on Netflix now. So
yeah,
so check that out.
Yeah, I started watching I think the most recent season, and there's something different about it. It's kind of like an undercover at a high school, I think, something going on like that. I think.
Oh yeah. There's lots of jokes where suddenly they can play off as being high school.
Right. It's like 30 Jump Street, kind of a goof on that or something.
21 Jump Street.
21. Well, 30 is when they're 30 years old.
Oh.
It's the sequel. No, I don't know. I just made it. I'll mention this one on Amazon. Pretty. It's called I Love Dick, which is based on a novel by Chris Kraus, and it was it's set in the town of Marfa, Texas, which is like an artist kind of hubbub, like retreat. A lot of people go to make art, and Catherine Hahn plays a kind of struggling filmmaker. She kind of tags along with her husband, Griffin Dunn, and they meet up with this this guy who's kind of the legendary conceptual artist played by Kevin Bacon, who I would say is an artist / cowboy. And they both become sort of infatuated with him for different reasons. But it's Jill Soloway, who you know from Transparent. And so it has like some, you know, gender stuff in it. And it's just like a really interesting, weird, offbeat show that I don't know if it was only intended to be one season or that's just, it was kind of unfortunate. It seemed like there was more that they could do there, but I know they kind of covered the book, I feel like, but it felt like there was some more they could have explored, but I'm not sure why they didn't.
In a similar vein, something I didn't pick, look, we got a comment. Karen Meyer says she liked that one too. I did not actually see I Love Dick, so I can't comment on it. But what I did see, and stars the same Catherine Hahn, which I was going to put on my list, was Mrs. Fletcher, which was also based on a book that was on HBO, and which came out I think last year or the beginning of this year. And I think it was a Tom Perrotta book. And I'm going to pick a different Tom Perrotta book coming up soon. Was really great. It was just about a woman, a divorced woman whose kid is going off to college, and her son is kind of like a jackass and is very he's kind of a sexist pig a bit, and how she's trying to deal like with him and also her burgeoning, you know, later in life sexuality. And I just thought, it was really well done, and I was kind of bummed that that's not coming back either.
Oh yeah, I didn't know that. That's too bad. Yeah, it's again with Catherine Hahn just being like so great in every single thing that she does. One thing I want to mention about Amazon Prime that I don't think they still do this, but they did this maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, where they would, you know, every studio, every network, they make pilots. If you don't know what a pilot is, it's like a show that they make. Maybe 10% actually get turned into actual shows. So every actor you can think of has made a pilot that did not actually get turned into a show. They make tons of them, and they mostly fail. But Amazon Prime made their pilots. They made them available for everyone to watch, and they encourage people to leave feedback, to vote on them. Yeah. And I remember the first one I watched was Transparent, and clearly that stood out as like, this is an amazing show. You have to make this show. There's no doubt. And I wrote a very, I feel like, passionate, you know, kind of plea to Amazon, and like not just like, hey, this is great, thumbs up, but it was like talking about how great it was. And you're welcome. Transparent became a show.
It was all because of you.
Yeah. Absolutely. It was on the fence, and they read my thing, and they were like,
also, what was your fault was the actions of the main star. So I'm not sure how much credit you want to take.
Hey, that's his. You know, he can do whatever he wants.
Apparently. Well, we do this. We are going to break or have a first here. We're going to bring in a guest from the outside world, because the world is larger than just the two of us.
This smells like trouble.
We have a guest, and I'm gonna bring her in with no introduction. I'm just gonna go crazy. Wow. And I'm actually gonna put names back up. See what name you gave yourself. Wendy, you gave the name Wendy. Okay.
No,
interesting choice.
I didn't realize. Can I change it to something more? You know.
You can.
Wendy-O.
Wendy-O. Exactly. You're supposed to put an O at the end.
This is so cool. By the way, I've never done this before, ever.
Well, you sort of did. You did your like little performance thing.
Oh, yeah. It's different.
Oh, yeah.
This is, you know, I haven't even thought about what I was going to say. No, I'm kidding.
So we did bring Wendy on because she had a very strong opinion about a hidden TV gem.
Yes.
And I want you to be able to voice that opinion.
Thank you.
Right here on episode 2.
And this is very passionate. I feel very passionate about talking about TV shows. So thank you for doing this. So, okay, mine is, I don't have a picture. It's called Dispatches from Elsewhere.
Oh, You told me it was You're the Worst.
I
Get
was going
out.
to do that, and I changed my mind.
I was all prepared for you.
I thought that, and then I was like, I have to do I have to do Dispatches from Elsewhere.
All right, you changed
So
your mind.
funny, but Colin, you know what? That was the first one that I thought of, and then I changed it.
I know. That's what I get for preparing.
But tell us about Dispatches from Elsewhere.
Okay. So Dispatches from Elsewhere, it's pretty complicated. It's Jason Segel, who is from How I Met Your Mother, and of course, Forgetting Sarah Marshall. And this is his baby, and Freaks and Geeks, of course, which was on your Firsts show, right? So it is about, it's actually based loosely on a true story about something called, it's in a documentary called The Institute. And it's about these people that started kind of making art. It's almost like Burning Man style in the sense of making art. People would go to sleep and then they would like paint and there would be all this crazy things. And then there would be scavenger hunts. Anyway, just to try to put magic back and surprises into life. So it's really hard to describe. Sally Field is in it, and Andre Benjamin. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. I would look at a trailer.
Does it seem like the kind of show that's going to come back for another season?
I don't know how they could. I mean, it's so outside of the box. I don't know how they could do it, but I haven't heard. There hasn't been a confirmation.
I appreciate just shows that are like, hey, we're going to tell our story in 10 episodes or whatever it is, and we're not going to try to stretch it out for another couple of seasons, but it's like it has a beginning, middle, and end, and it's a really tight story. I have a sort of, maybe I haven't seen the show, but I remember reading about it, and I know that it's based on something that happened to Jason Segel when he was in San Francisco visiting, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if it's the same thing that happened to me, which was around that time period. And a friend approached me and she said, hey, I forget how it all transpired, but she said, do you want to go on this adventure and you need to be in this place at this time? And it was I can't tell you anything more about it. You can go with a friend. So a friend who was there said, hey, do you want to do it? Let's do it. So we went to this place. It was like an office building. The people that worked, it was clearly an actual office. They were like, oh, you're probably here for the thing. They showed us into a room. We watched a video that was very much kind of like that video in the show Lost, kind of like scratchy and weird. And then it kind of sets you off on a scavenger hunt where there are clues, and we go around the city in like the downtown area of the city and find these different clues. And it was a very kind of weird and magical kind of experience. It was really cool. So I can imagine that the show would be interesting.
Well, and it's about so much more as well. They pack a lot in, and that's why I don't want to give too much away because it's about mystery and discovering things. So but it's also good escape. That's also, I think, really deep and makes you think, but it's not dark, which, as you both know, I do love dark, but sometimes you need a little bit of lightness right now. So there's that too. Mm-hmm. And it's very colorful.
When you bring that up about, because I know that we've talked about this, about how, and I think a lot of people are like this, like you might have a couple shows going at once, right? Where this is my dark or deep kind of a show, and I need to balance that with something lighter that's fun. So maybe I can only watch an episode or two of that. Now I need something lighter, to just kind of cleanse the palate or whatever, because I don't want to go too much down the rabbit hole of this kind of darkness.
Yeah, can't go to sleep after Handmaid's Tale. I need a buffer in between. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So it's on AMC, right? That's the network.
It's on AMC, and I think you have to pay for it.
Pay for it?
I don't think. Yeah, no, I know. I feel like that's a big deterrent. Like, who pays for shows? Because there's so many, good
we all. I mean, if you have Netflix, you're paying.
No, I pay for shows. Like Yeah, I paid for shows that weren't available to me. I'll buy on Amazon. I'll just buy, the season. I've done that for a bunch of shows, and yeah, it's totally worth it. It's like, even if it's like $20 for like 20 episodes or something, you know what I mean? That's like what you'd pay for 2 movies or something. I mean, it really.
And then you have it.
Yeah, and then you have
Oh,
it.
if you're buying it,
Yeah.
And if you share your password, anyone can go.
Yeah, no, not that anyone does that.
Everyone, my password, if anyone wants to use it, is
it's silence is the password.
silence.
So should do you have any other? Did any other shows other than this one? And look, I even got a GIF for you. I found a GIF, and then you didn't even use this.
Yeah, and it's too bad because, like I said, that is what I had. But I want to put the message out to people to watch Dispatches from Elsewhere. It was too important. So, can I still do You're the Worst?
No.
Sure.
You just go.
No. Oh, Colin says no.
No.
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I thought about picking You're the Worst as well.
Yeah, we've all seen it, so it's definitely a really good one, and it is a hidden gem. I think it definitely qualifies for sure.
It's amazing. I'm surprised how many people still haven't seen it or heard of it.
Losers. Those are those. Yeah, that's what those people are.
So the conceit is that these 2 people meet at a wedding, and they both share kind of an irreverent, cynical, sarcastic sense of humor. They bond over that, about things that they hate, basically. And then a relationship sort of evolves, and they have their little network of family and friends that are part of it too. But yeah, I mean, that's oversimplifying it, but it's the writing, and it's the strength of the acting, the ensemble, and especially the 2 leads, which have this great chemistry. And it's definitely funny, but also it's funny first, I would say, but also definitely deals with relationship issues, getting in the wrong kind of relationship for the right reasons, or vice versa. And it does
very well. Don't you think it's very rare, because it's really funny, like over the top funny sometimes, and really biting. And then there were some moments that are really kind of deep and serious.
Yeah, and I mean, they deal with mental health issues. They deal with like trauma from what's his name, the friend from PTSD from war.
And it's funny.
And it's funny.
And it's really funny. There's also people you've never seen or heard of.
Right.
For the most part.
Yeah, I don't think I knew any of the actors who were in it before then. Although I think Aya Cash had been in things, but I didn't recognize her.
No, since then I've seen them both in little bit parts and other things, but Doug Benson pops in a little bit. But
oh yeah, he's great.
Since we have Wendy here, I'm going to mention a show, because it's a kind of a funny show where, when you try to get people to watch something, and Wendy probably knows what I'm talking about here, but and they don't. It's a hard sell. So this is a show on Hulu called Pen 15, and it was created by Maya Erskine and Anna Conkle, who are friends, and it's definitely based on their childhood experiences, like in middle school age. And the fact that these are 2 women that are just on the north side of 30, and they're playing 15-year-olds, it's funny. It's a pretty amazing.
I think they're playing like 13-year-olds or 12-year-olds.
Yeah, right. But you quickly believe it. Like, I would say within a couple of seconds, even in that picture, it's like they don't look like they're 30 in that picture. For me, I mean, the braid, all that. They're just, you completely believe that these are, teenagers. What's funny is that the other cast members who are, the school children are actually of the real age. So you kind of see that they blend in pretty well. But it's one of those shows where it's definitely funny. But there's a lot of awkward moments. They're pretty awkward. They're kind of socially, awkward on the outside. They're not the popular kids in school, but it deals with real issues that kids deal with in a funny and sweet way. I think that's the kind of thing that's my favorite, is when there's humor, but it's balanced with heart. It's not just all like biting or cynical. And that show makes me laugh, and it's also like really sweet. So highly recommend it. There's another season coming up in September.
Well, are you sure? Because I had heard that they hadn't finished shooting, and because of the pandemic, that it's going to be delayed.
No, I heard that they did finish. That
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. I hope you're right. Yeah, because that one, I've been craving the next season of that. I thought the first season, that might have been my favorite show of last year. I thought it was so good, and just the chemistry between them as friends. Yeah, even though their chemistry with the other kids, and even Maya Erskine's family, both of their families, just what they're dealing with. The other one's dealing with like her parents are getting divorced, and Maya's dealing with like her mom's like not taking her side when her brother's being a jerk, and sort of things that kids just go through, but they deal with it in a very real way.
And that's what's hard to explain, is like, how do you explain to someone that the show about these 13-year-olds is relatable? How could we relate to that? But it is. There's something about the awkwardness, and the tenderness between those two girls, that is really relatable. We've all been through awkward situations. And also
to be 13, right? I mean, that's something everyone can relate to.
Mm-hmm. I skipped that. I went from 12 to 14, so I don't really get that. But
good for you. I'm gonna move on and choose another show. I'm gonna go with this one.
I love this show.
And I have two photos because I felt like the cast really needed to be highlighted as well. And so what you're seeing there is Enlightened, which was on HBO. I guess do I have the years on here? 2011 and 2012. Possibly the two amazing seasons. Laura Dern's character can be so like annoying and unlikable at times that it's her acting is so stellar that you identify with her, cringe at her. Her character just has so many layers going on. She's just everything is out there on the surface. She doesn't have like a way to keep things hidden.
Mm-hmm.
No filter, and it's so like refreshing, and all the people that she works with and her friends, they confront her, but they accept her for how she is, and they kind of get on her side over time. And also her real life mom, Diane Ladd, plays her mom on the show, which is really great, and their relationship is very complicated, as well as her ex, played by Luke Wilson, who you think he's kind of going to disappear after the first season, but he ends up playing a larger role in the second season.
And that was some good acting. I mean, there was some, they had some dark places he went to for, yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like the character, it's so rare to have a character that kind of makes you cringe, but you also like and care for,
mm-hmm.
Or having a person like that in your life, who sometimes you're like, ugh, but then they come around and you realize why you're friends with them. She's kind of like that.
Yeah, and it's different than like the cringy sort of Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of thing where you like it's more like a realistic, just someone who can be so clueless as to how they're coming across to other people.
Yeah, it's like an overshare kind of a situation, but you appreciate the honesty of it.
Yeah, and it was directed by Mike White, who is great director, and I think he wrote it too. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, that's a show that I so wanted to come back because season 2 was great, and it didn't necessarily end. Like the HBO executives, claim that they canceled it not just because of bad ratings, but because it seemed like it hit a good ending point, which I think was kind of a bullshit answer.
Weak.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to jump to something here that not sure why people did not watch this. It's a totally a love affair for Ricky Gervais. I mean, a lot of his stuff, maybe all of his stuff, is personal. But this one he wrote and directed and stars in, of course, as the titular Derek, who's a care worker in a home for the elderly, and his family members, not all of them, but a bunch of them work in care facilities as well. So he was drawing from that. He loves animals. There's a lot of animals that are in the show as like, for the elderly to help them out. And it's an interesting show. It's definitely funny, but it's super sweet. Like every episode I laughed and I cried, and I'll admit that. And it's rare that can happen, but his character is borderline, it's sort of ambiguous, but he's possibly autistic or maybe on the scale of like mentally challenged in some way. He kind of leaves that ambiguous. You can decide if that's true or not. It doesn't really matter. I mean, he's just he's just a genuinely sweet person. And he's so much like love and care for elderly people. Like he really like listens to them, their stories. And so it does that really fine balance of being genuine, being funny, and being like really, really sweet. And there was like a couple of 14 episodes. They're only like each episode is like 25 minutes. So it's something that's pretty quick and easy to jump into. So if you like Ricky Gervais, I would highly recommend. Do either of you guys see it?
I think I might have seen like a couple episodes, and I personally couldn't get into him. I found his like the whole thing, is he autistic, is he mentally challenged thing, was distracting to me. So I couldn't get. It was too much for me, but I think also at the time I had so many shows going that, and that's often the case. Like if something doesn't grab you right off the bat with so many good shows, you just kind of move on, and I definitely do that.
Yeah.
You mentioned it to me many times. I mean, I love Ricky Gervais. Is it Gervais or Gervais? It's Gervais.
It's whatever you want to.
Okay.
And it's also Rick I. It's Rick I. Gervais.
So I do love him. I don't know. I watched the trailer and I just felt like, oh, I don't know why. Maybe I just like Ricky Gervais when he's sarcastic and.
You prefer him to be sarcastic, yeah. Yeah, however, sometimes when someone is just like all sweet without darkness, it's too much for me.
There's other characters on the show that are definitely, I mean, the usual characters that are Carl Pilkington and the oddballs that he has in all his films are there.
I'm gonna go with a show. It's actually two shows, but it's sort of the same show. I'll explain in a second. First one was this, The Young Pope, which was on HBO in 2016 with Jude Law playing the young Pope. And then 4 years later came this, The New Pope, where, as you can see there, John Malkovich becomes the new Pope, but still Jude Law is there. So what's the story? I don't want to give it all away, but let's just say the young Pope has this, something happens at the end of the season of the young Pope, which makes it necessary to possibly get a new Pope. Anyways, it's directed by the filmmaker, what's his name? Paolo Sorrentino, who's super visual. He did This Must Be the Place, which I don't know if you've seen. It's a really bizarre film where Sean Penn plays like a guy who looks like Robert Smith of The Cure. He's like this 40-year-old goth guy whose father was a Holocaust survivor, and and he goes to try to track down like the Nazi guard who had imprisoned his father.
I've seen it a bunch of times.
But anyways, it's super visual, and so the young Pope, it's just like it mixes. It has like an EDM soundtrack. It's like funny and dark and twisted and surreal. He'll be at the Vatican, and then suddenly like a kangaroo will come running past. He just is into kangaroos, and one is shipped to so just randomly through different scenes the kangaroo will pass through, and he's also a chain smoker, Jude Law, and he's kind of like sexual in a way that you don't expect from a Pope. To me it's super exciting to watch. Like it feels like it pushes the buttons of what's possible, visually and storytelling wise, and it does. I mean, I'm not Catholic, so I don't know how much is of true Catholic iconography they use, and what's like. I've been to the Vatican, so I know some of it was shot there. I mean, the director's Italian. I can't imagine they actually got approved to shoot at the Vatican because of how they were portraying it. But I highly recommend both seasons. I actually even think season 2 with John Malkovich might be even more bold and interesting. Where sort of like being John Malkovich, like his character, like all these people in it say, do you know you look just like John Malkovich? And so that's sort of an ongoing thing in that one. And he's like, yeah, people tell me that all the time. But he's also got this kind of exaggerated British accent, or I don't know if it's exaggerated, but it's very affected. Anyways, it's really great. It's on HBO, and it's like every time I watch an episode of that, I just had to like pause and just let it all sink in and kind of refresh, let all the visual craziness and I wouldn't say it's overacted, but there's just so much going on that you can't even explain. It's one of those things where if you try to figure it all out, it's going to just be annoying.
Kind of a heightened reality kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's just super bold. It's just very surreal. But also there's a lot of like actual real emotion going on. Plus, like HBO, there's lots of sex and nudity, which it's always a plus. Exactly.
While we're on HBO, I'll mention the show that I know Wendy also likes, which is this one. It's called Togetherness, and it's by the Duplass brothers with Amanda Peet and Melanie Linsky as well. And just like a show about marriage and family and friendships, and just really good. I think, Wendy, we may have watched some of that together. Do you recall that?
Yeah. I thought it was amazing. Even more so than You're the Worst, the way it kind of, I would say it's almost more of a drama than a comedy.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very honest. It's very raw. It's very real, but it's still like half an hour. So it has that kind of comedy timing, Yeah,
it's interesting when comedies, you could tell it was a comedy because it was half an hour. And I think shows like, Transparent, which I think it was nominated in the comedy category. It's like weird things like what happened, like where like there used to be like back in the 80s where Seinfeld, that was a comedy, right. Hill Street Blues, that was a drama or whatever, Now it's like there is that balance in between where it's hard to categorize something. But I would agree that I think it's more drama than comedy.
I'm going to interrupt you right now because Sugar Puss has been adding comments to the YouTube, and I've been ignoring accidentally. So I just want to give a shout out. Hey, Colio, what about RG and Afterlife? Do you have a thought on that?
Yeah, Afterlife is a good show. I don't think it's a great show, but I definitely enjoyed it. I mean, I watched all of it. I really liked it. I just kind of felt like it was a little. I mean, yeah, you do get to balance, like his cynical side comes out, like, but there were definitely some scenes, like Wendy pointed out, like it seems to be sort of grounded in reality for the most part, but then there'd be like the scene with him and his therapist, and it's completely like ridiculous. Like, Wendy could tell you that therapists are not portrayed very well.
It was painful, and it was so out of character for the show because nothing else was like that. Yeah,
except season 2 was more like that too. It kind of amped up that therapist ridiculousness.
And it also insults the intelligence of they're intelligent guys. Like, why do they keep seeing this therapist? You know what I mean? It just doesn't. I mean, no, but I thought it was really beautiful.
And we also have Malkovich.
Sugar
and Colin actually did watch an episode of Space Force, so
you don't have to. You're welcome. It's one of the worst shows I've seen in a long time. It's so bad. It's almost incomparable how bad it is, given that Steve Carell created it again with his wife. And Malkovich is in it. Like a lot of great actors are in it. Like Jane Lynch is in it, but she's just like sitting at a table. Like, same thing with Malkovich. She has no reason to be in that show. He's like way too good to be in a dumb comedy. And I would stress the dumb part of it.
So you never know how it's going to turn out until it's done. That's what's so hard about doing a TV show or a film, right? It's like, who knows how it's going to land, how it's edited together, But
you can read a script, and there's jokes in the script, and they land when you read it, I would think. I mean, I can imagine like reading the script and finding where the jokes were. I don't know where. It's bad news.
Just so you know, what's going on in the YouTube chat is we're being usurped here. It's just so you know. Here's the word. Karen Meyer says, "I'd say we're the expert on hidden gems with Sugar Puss because we took a little while to get these comments." And see, here they are. They're going to start a rival show called the Better Good Show.
We welcome the competition.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
ladies.
Let's see you get more than 7 viewers. That's what I challenge you to get more than 7 viewers. And look, see, Karen Meyer, how hard could it be? I'll tell you how hard it can be. Oh, a little after the show.
There are kids watching.
That's right. Are there?
No.
All right, enough of those people. You're done.
I had no idea I was going to be seen, by the way. I thought I was just going to be a voice. So, and then I hit video. That I wanted to excuse just so you know, that was a surprise.
Fine. You don't want to be seen here.
Yeah, you're right.
You're back. See, if I could just hide your
There's so much
face and not your voice, I would do it, but can't do it. Too bad. They come together like, there's too much sun coming through that window. You guys talk amongst yourself. I need to do some adjustment.
I also was thinking of Married, by the way. I wanted to bring those two are kind of happiness, and Married is, I feel like, a much lighter version,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting how there was like Married and Casual and Togetherness, and they're all, I mean, Married is like more of the funny of those three, but Casual and Togetherness, I feel like there's kind of a similarity between those shows. Both great shows.
Can I do one more? Aw, thank you, Karen. By the way, I also learned it's not good to do a podcast after Ganja Yoga because you're relaxed and high and can't talk. So next time, or have a drink.
Yeah, we're both drunk, so
this is my drink right here.
I just drank this. This was rubbing alcohol and pineapple juice. So
can I do one more?
Fine. Jesus.
And I need pictures. Also, this year, Undone on Amazon Prime. It is really beautiful. I mean, I could just watch it even without the dialogue, and it's so beautiful, I think. But it's called what? Rolioscope? Is that
Rotoscoping.
Rotoscoping.
Right.
Yeah. So it's filmed. It's live action, but it's animated, kind of like Waking Life, if anyone's seen that. And it's really deep and layered, and it's I don't know. It's funny. I know the whole point of this podcast is to talk about the show, and I'm like, I don't want to say anything. Just watch it.
I know you guys are all picking shows that you give things away if we talk about them. But Undone doesn't totally do that. Yeah, it's very philosophical, and one of the person who plays the main character's father is played by Bob Odenkirk, and so
yeah,
kind of surprised that I don't know how, because it's on Netflix, right?
Yeah.
Or is it Amazon? Oh, it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you just never know how well it's done. Maybe it did well. I have no idea. So like, I just didn't know to call it a hidden gem.
Oh, that's definitely hidden. Yeah, nobody watched that, unfortunately, except for people that Wendy and I talked to and made them watch it.
I watched it without you telling me.
Watch it.
That actress.
It's also pretty.
So
it's like thinking, oh, so good.
Yeah.
You know, it definitely it's not really escapist, because your brain is kind of you know, thinking about time and space and death, and but it's also funny too. I love the interactions. They're so natural. So it's so weird to have these natural interactions, but then it looks so trippy because of the animation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see it without the animation. I mean, it adds a layer, you know, that's really interesting.
Well, there's a lot of the surreal parts.
Yeah,
that
it
go
is
on.
like like an animated show. It does allow it to go off into other worlds which I guess you can do in real life, but it's much more difficult or expensive or whatever. But they use that to really good effect, but it doesn't get too crazy. It's kind of grounded in reality with like.
Yeah.
Speaking of reality, someone says, anyone keeping track of the shows?
What do you mean?
Yeah, Joshua says, anyone keeping track of the shows? Joshua, what do you mean? Are we keeping a list so that we could post? Do you want us to post a list in the comments? Hey, Karen, or Sugar Puss, if you can go through, to keep you guys busy, why don't you go through and go through our list here and write them out in the comments. And if
Karen,
not, we'll do it later. What?
Is Karen Sugarpuss?
No, I don't know who.
That's Brienne.
Oh, that's Brienne.
Oh.
That's okay.
So that's,
all right.
Yeah. By the way.
Nice.
You should always watch our show with a notebook and a pen, so you just take notes like you're going to school, because we do give you some learning here.
That's right. Anyways, we are 53 minutes into our show, and I kind of feel like we should go over maybe 2 more. I'll pick one. I'll pick one. You pick one.
Yeah, go for it.
All right, I'm gonna pick one, which maybe one of my all-time favorite shows, and it didn't get the acclaim it deserved, and that's that. Do you know what it is?
Yeah.
And if you don't know what that is, here's another photo from it.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm talking about the Leftovers, which I have to say, the first season is it's not up to par compared to season 2 and 3, in my opinion. Season 1 is essentially the book. If you've read the book, and I did read the book before, so season 1, from beginning to end, for the most part, is the plot of the book of the idea of the leftovers is that 3% of the world's population just disappears, and some people call it the rapture, and you know, people, and it's never really explained what happened, but it's more about what the after effect of that incident, how that affects one specific community in is it upstate New York? I think it's somewhere in New York,
Right.
and it's really powerful, and it's very dark. The first season is very dark because it's just like really intense, and then seasons 2 and 3 are completely different plot lines, the same characters for the most part, but in additional characters. Season 2 takes place in a town in Texas. I think it's called Miracle, Texas, where they call it Miracle because this is the one town where no one disappeared from. And so there's like people come there and like scoop the water, thinking that the water in the town is gonna, you know, bring God to them. And but there's just so many. There's so much going on between the characters. Some things happen that are a little mystical, and you don't know what's real and what's not. And there's religious overtones, and visually, it's amazing. I just feel like there's not a TV show that I can think of that really tackled as many themes as The Leftovers did.
And the acting,
Yeah.
like, I don't know if I've seen like Justin Theroux be better. I mean, it's just an amazing layered performance. And everyone, Amy Brenneman and, you know, all those guys in there are so good. And I remember reading that they were only intending to shoot one season because, as you said, they did cover the plot of the book in the first season. And then they just came up with an idea for another season, and they decided to do it. And then obviously happened again for the third season. So that was pretty cool that they had something that they wanted to share. They had more story to tell, and you know, they were able to do that. And that's the cool thing we could just say about episodic television that's different than movies, where you can tell a story in, you know, 10, 20, 30, you know, Sopranos, whatever, 100 episodes, and you get to see the life of these characters over a longer period of time and how they evolve. And so that must be really interesting, I would think, for creators, writers, actors of those shows, where in a 2-hour movie, your arc is, you know, like that. And then in a show that goes for 5 years, you get to do all this different stuff and grow and expand. So I think that's why, you know, there was a long time where there was a stigma for television, which obviously is not the case in the last 10 years or so, where actors would like, you wouldn't do a TV show. You know, you were a movie star, you don't do a TV show. And now I think it's almost the opposite. It's like, if you really want to get into something deep and interesting, then you will do a TV show. And so now all kinds of amazing, great actors, obviously, we get to see in shows.
The Leftovers, I agree, Steve, by the way, it covers so many different topics. I mean, so many. And it's the second season where they go with that, when they do some pretty weird, mystical, mind trippy shit. Yeah. And also, It's rare that you can add on to the book, Colin, like you said, and have it fit. It's amazing that it worked. It was so weird and different, and yet it worked.
It almost improved on the book. And I mean, it helped that Tom Perrotta was involved in the creation of both seasons 2 and 3. But it was Damon Lindelof or Carlton Cuse. It was Damon Lindelof, right? That's the one who was the showrunner
from Lost. Yeah,
from Lost for this, as well as The Watchmen. So he just, and The Watchmen, I think, also in a certain way tackles like lots of different themes in a kind of very creative and layered way. That and I've only just started watching The Watchmen just this week, so but I'm getting a Leftovers vibe from that.
You know, the thing about HBO, we're talking about, you know, HBO, I don't know what you call it, a channel, right? It's like a channel, it's a network. They've been around since 1972. Isn't that amazing? How long they've been around making shows. So a lot of good stuff. They definitely, I think, they were like the first, I don't know if you call it like a cable show, but they were like the first ones to make things that you couldn't do on network. You know, you couldn't do Sopranos. You couldn't have that kind of violence and sexuality. You couldn't explore those kind of themes really in network television. So they're really cutting edge. And, now, of course, on shows on Netflix and Hulu and stuff, you can, blur those kind of boundaries. You don't have to, the whatever it is, the George Carlin 7 dirty words, you can use, use all the spices and kind of flavor it. I'll show one, I think, for people that are into like film noir, and especially if you live or are from San Francisco. This was this really interesting show that for some reason was not on the radar, which is called Chance. And you can see Hugh Laurie there. It's about Hugh Laurie plays a forensic neuropsychiatrist, which I guess that's a thing. So he gets patients that come in and he tries to explore, that have had trauma. And Wendy, you probably would appreciate this. And so he kind of tries to explore, what those trauma and help them overcome that trauma. And he has one particular patient who's in an abusive relationship, and the police aren't helping. And so he enlists that character that Ethan Suplee plays. That's this guy, the big guy right there. You might recognize him from My Name is Earl. He kind of bulked up for this role. And they become sort of like a team where where they but like sort of not like sort of like mercenary vigilantes, but anyway, it's just like it's psychological, has like a lot of psychological elements to it, and crime and noir, and the use of San Francisco. There's a lot of shows that pretend to be in San Francisco, but this one is obvious that they shot, and it's fun to watch it and to see, oh, that's that alley in Chinatown. It's 2 seasons, 20 total episodes. Episodes are 45 minutes. So if you're a fan of noir, crime, you want to see San Francisco, highly, and Laurie is always like great. So highly recommend that. Chance.
Yeah, I think we lost Wendy, or either that or she left or I deleted her. I don't know what happened.
That's typical you.
Yeah. No, I want to blame her. But I just wanted to say we have gotten other comments during this, and I just didn't want to. Here's one that this is the worst Broad City app I've ever seen, and I'm assuming she's referring to our show, but I am not quite sure what Sugar Puss is referring to. My guess is Sugar Puss has probably stopped watching because we've past the 1 hour mark, and I know it's nearing bedtime. And here's something that Karen Meyer said that I don't see. Oh, here. Show a picture of Bernie, and Bernie is our dog, but unfortunately I don't have any pictures that I can add right now. Just imagine a big dog.
Well, you can see.
Oh,
right
we
there.
can see. Yeah, the cat's there. Yeah, isn't that good enough?
I have a
Jesus.
good trivia question, just real quick. Who has spent the most number of hours on television? Think about that.
You have.
Your first thought might be someone like Walter Cronkite, or someone that's a news guy that's was on the air for a bunch of times.
I'm gonna say it's one of the guys on The Simpsons.
Oh, one of the voice actors?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So do you want the answer?
No.
It's kind of interesting and it's kind of sad, but it's Regis Philbin, who sadly just passed away. But this is an unbelievable number, 16,750
hours.
Mm-hmm. Which if you were on every...
How did they even add that up? That's fucking nuts.
You can imagine if you were on an hour every day, that you'd be 365 for a year, times 10 is 3,000. That's like 30 years of every day for an hour. So I don't know where that number came from, but it's pretty crazy. And R.I.P. Regis, wherever you are.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised. He was one of those people that always looked like the same age, no matter.
He drank Dick Clark's blood. That's what.
Yeah,
how that
yeah. I
worked.
mean, he never looked young. He always looked like he was like 65. When he was 20, he looked 65. When he was 88, he looked 65.
That's the secret.
Yeah.
I
The
don't know
secret is to age early and then stop,
Right.
I guess. All right. Well, that feels like a good ending point with honoring the great Regis Philbin.
Next show, movies, right?
Yeah, movies. Yep. And if anyone has any comments like on the Facebook here, if you want to add in your Hidden Gem TV show, I noticed none of you added your TV shows. I'm talking about Sugar Puss and Karen. You didn't add yours. You just decided to, make little comments about things that we can't answer.
Well,
But I'm gonna be on the comments quicker next time. I see we have a lot of fans right now. We still have 5 viewers.
Wow.
4 of them are on YouTube and 1 on Facebook. So
we get 25 cents for every viewer. So,
and I think 2 of those are me because I'm logged into those just to monitor the screens. So we actually have 3 viewers, 3 amazing viewers.
so
Wait, here we do get a request. Jersey Shore Family Vacation is a recommend for. Although I'm not sure, is that really a hidden gem? I wonder how hidden that is. Not hidden enough.
anything in Jersey should be well hidden.
Yes. All right. And on that note, we want to thank you for sticking with it, and we will be back in probably 2 weeks. We're going to try to keep this to maybe every other Sunday.
2 and 2.
2 and 2. Oh, Chuck Woolery, who now is the crazy right-wing nut job. I guess he always was. Who knows? See ya.
Bye.
Bye.